SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man, way past 21. I want you to believe me, baby.
Good morning to you, and what a morning it is. I hope, I pray even for your sake, that it is as glorious at 6 o'clock on this 27th day of August across the entire state of Mississippi as it is where I am and where I sit in North Mississippi. Lance, tell me it is so. Tell me that there was a bit of a nip in the air this morning. Not just, oh, well, that's a little cooler than it has been. Not just, oh, like genuine, I could have on a long sleeve. I could throw on a jacket if I wanted to. Did you have that?
Yeah, it's not that cool. It was nice last night, but I've been rushing around this morning a little bit.
Okay.
So, yeah, I haven't quite, settled in, but I wouldn't say it's cool here. It's a little, you can tell it's not quite there yet. But last night I did sit out for a while and really enjoyed the weather, though. I almost said, I might need to put a little sleeve on. But
brother, I was about 20 minutes till 6, maybe 25 minutes till 6. I was finishing up my breakfast, a little breakfast casserole and a bagel with some peanut butter on it. Stepped outside, 54 degrees.
Ooh. Yeah, it's not 54 here, I don't think.
Okay.
Living the good life there, though.
I wish that for you.
Yeah.
and it will get there eventually. Yeah. For those of you in, I don't know, let's just use the old Highway 82 dividing line across the state of Mississippi. If you're north of 82, I think you got some of that this morning. This one from Columbus, C-Spire text line, 601-879-4395.
72 here is what it says.
Big difference in 54 and 72.
That's what I'm saying.
72 is pleasant.
Not quite 56 here.
I think our high today is 78, maybe?
Yeah, I was looking at that yesterday going, man, it's going to be – there's a few places in the state that are going to be ideal today.
Yeah.
I mean, during 12 o'clock,
Yeah, here we got another one. 72 in Brandon. Happy about it, though. Better than 87 with 110% humidity. Yep. Here's one. I'm on my way to work here in Columbus, and it's a nice 58 degrees outside. A balmy 73 in Pascagoula this morning. Somebody says it's simply hitting weather. I think that's a football reference.
Hitting weather, yeah.
I think that's what we're talking about. Man, it's here, too. Right? It is here. We are rolling toward Labor Day weekend, opening weekend of football season, opening weekend of dove season, little bit of a cool snap. How good is life? Oh.
I'm ready for football, I can tell you that. That makes life a lot more interesting.
If you're watching on SuperTalk TV, this is my rough draft set, but my first set of football charts are in front of me, ready to go. I've got Oklahoma and Illinois State this weekend.
Nice.
Pretty.
Now that's at Oklahoma State, right?
Oklahoma.
It's in
Norman.
Yeah.
It's in Norman. So I'll fly into Oklahoma City and make the 25, 30-minute drive over to Norman. A lot of excitement around the Oklahoma team. And, frankly, a lot of excitement around Illinois State, the number 6 team in the preseason FCS poll. They were a playoff team a year ago, so a fun way to start the year. I have been told that we've got a sellout on Saturday night. And you know what they do? You know how everybody has developed like a between the third and fourth quarter tradition of some sort? Everybody stands up and they sing loud and they turn on their phones, and, it's not just the band anymore. Like Florida does the Tom Petty deal where they sing "I Won't Back Down," and for a while Mississippi State was doing "Don't Stop Believin'," and they've changed that song up. Anyway, Toby Keith was a big OU fan, passed away, and so to honor him, they play "Courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue" between the third and fourth quarter, and everybody stands and sings at the top of their lungs.
A heck of a choice of a song, too.
I think it'll be cool. Corinth, except for a few afternoon clouds, mainly sunny for you today. High of 84 with winds light and variable. What about over in the northern part of the Delta? Clarksdale, intervals of clouds and sunshines, 86 for your high. Winds out of the east, northeast at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. Madison, cloudy skies for you, or partly cloudy skies for you. 88 is your high temperature. Hey, St. Louis, you're going to knock on 85's door with winds out of the east at 10 to 15 miles per hour. A few clouds early, otherwise sunny. Julian Walnut tells us that it is 53 in her neck of the woods this morning.
Yeah,
good morning to you.
I'd love to have that.
Shaq Bully says Dove season opens Monday, so technically not the opening weekend.
It's week 0 then, right?
I mean,
if you're
for
going
most
with football
people,
terms,
Shaq Bully, we take a little bit of liberty with Labor Day weekend, right? Kind of starts on Thursday and goes through Monday.
And I keep forgetting that Monday we actually have a day off. Yeah, that it's a holiday. So I would have to go with you on. I'm not saying this is week 0 anymore. I'm correcting myself. This is week 1. Yeah, this is opening weekend. If it starts with a holiday on Monday, come on.
Yeah. Ray in Long Beach checking in at 72 degrees this morning, a crisp 55 in Batesville. Charles Rolls was born on this day in 1877, a British aviator and auto manufacturer who co-founded Rolls-Royce, born in Berkeley Square, London. Still make fine automobiles, but honestly, you see more of their engines, highly technical, high-end engines in planes and maybe boats sometimes, but specifically planes. Lyndon B. Johnson was born on this day in 1908, the 27th of August, 36th President of the United States. He was born in Stonewall, Texas. Lance, do you know how many American presidents were born in the state of Texas?
I have no idea. 2, okay.
Yeah. There are more that called Texas home. I mean, you think of George H.W. Bush and George W. Bush as being from Texas, and maybe some others even, but presidents actually born in the state of Texas, just 2. Lyndon B. Johnson and, now I've forgotten it, Dwight D. Eisenhower? Presidents in...
I'm still looking at the Rolls family home in Monmouth.
Yeah.
I mean, the Rolls people in England, goodness gracious, that's some money there, buddy. When you threw me the Lyndon Johnson next, I was still reading about the Rolls folks, man.
My fault.
I'm blown away at their. I mean, goodness gracious, you don't hear the last name Rolls very often. There's probably a reason. They're too rich. But man, yeah. As far as president, what is it? Ike and Lyndon? Is that the right two?
No. General Eisenhower.
That's what I said. Ike. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry.
Ike,
Yes.
I thought he was a Texan.
Dwight D. Eisenhower. Yep. Those are the two.
I'm not a big fan of. I was not a big Lyndon Johnson guy. Some people liked him. I'm not a big Lyndon guy, though. I don't know about you, but the stories, though, I mean, goodness gracious, some of the stories that are told about he and his presidency, how he communicated, and he was a unique type, definitely. But not one of my faves.
No, Shaq Bully, I will not be speaking on your behalf with the game warden if you get a ticket for hunting early.
Mm-mm. Yeah, they'll take your car.
You know the date. Stop being argumentative just for the sake of being
you don't want to be early on any hunting. Yeah, you just follow the rules. That's the best route there, yeah.
American comic actor and screenwriter Paul Reubens was born on this day in 1952, passed away a couple of years ago. Do you recognize the name Paul Reubens, or would it make more sense if I told you that he was Pee Wee Herman? Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Pee-wee's Playhouse. Ernest Goes to Camp. Born in Peekskill, New York.
I went back and watched the Pee-wee's Big Adventure. It had to be a year or two ago, and I got about 10 minutes in, and I had to quit. I couldn't do it.
German golfer Bernhard Langer, or Langer if you prefer, 67 years old, born in 1957, still going strong. Won the Masters in both 85 and 93, 42 wins on the European Tour. Had a chance to interview him a few years ago. What a great dude. And you want to talk about somebody in shape, taking care of himself. Man, it's incredible. You even heard Jerry Pate last week give us a Bernhard Langer reference. Come on, Jerry, you could still play. Kathy Hochul's got a birthday today. Hope it's just spectacular. She seems like somebody that is extremely worthy of having a wonderful, spectacular birthday that she should celebrate.
Yay, happy birthday to her.
Patrick J. Adams, Mike from Suits streaming show. I guess it's on TV also. Born on this day, 1981. Women's basketball star Breanna Stewart, born in 1994. 4 straight NCAA championships at UConn.
From the Venable Glass.
Start your day right.
Good morning, America. How are you?
Honestly, I have no idea.
Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
My transistor radio comes from far away. And when it's night over here, over there, it's breaking day.
I believe it was the great Willy Wonka who said, so little to get to, so much time. Wait, stop that. Strike it. Flip it around. Turn it around. Let's do that all over again. It's kind of how I feel about this morning. So much to get to, so little time. We will try to stuff these 3 hours as full of content as we possibly can for you. Krakatoa, the world's mightiest explosion. In 1883, the volcano Krakatoa, located west of Java in Indonesia, erupted with a force of 200 megatons of TNT, of dynamite, killing approximately 36,000 people. I don't even know how to equate that to you with 200 megatons is equivalent to this.
Well, yeah, we need to get a better grading scale now, but the explosions have gotten so large. But I mean, you're measuring things in sticks of dynamite. You know?
Yeah.
It's like snail tails or something, you know? I mean, it seems like a very small way of measuring something that large. 200 megatons? What's a megaton? You know, how many tons is a megaton, you know? But I know one thing, it was a big one.
1 megaton airburst, severe injury from the blast would extend to about 5 miles.
Ooh.
So a 200 megaton bomb blast, 200 times more powerful, would cause severe damage extending to approximately 15 to 25 miles and potentially third-degree burns. And this from a bomb blast 120 to 170 miles away. That information courtesy of AI. What AI is powering Google?
Google's
Is it
I'm not sure.
open?
Yeah, I think it's OpenAI.
It's not XA. I don't know. Anyway.
Hey, you remember that Beirut blast that was the fertilizer? It blew up everything. It's actually like you got a great picture of it. It happened like in 2020 and, blew out the bay, and it was a huge explosion. Yeah. I was trying to see what that one was just to get an idea. It says 1.1 kilotons of TNT, about 1,100 tons of TNT was, largest artificial non-nuclear explosion. Imagine a volcano blowing out at 200 megatons. Man.
It's impossible to wrap the mind around.
Yeah.
Gemini, apparently, is the AI engine.
Gemini, okay. Yeah, Google Gemini. Thank you.
With specialized neural networks like the Transformer
Yeah, if I'd had my Google open, I could have told you that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. See, I said we have so much to get to, and then I get stuck on our very first moment in history. This day in 1964, Walt Disney's musical film Mary Poppins, directed by Robert Stevenson, starring Julie Andrews and Dick Van Dyke, with songs by Richard and Robert Sherman, premiered at Grauman's Chinese Theater in Los Angeles, went on to win 5 Academy Awards. Just a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go. Yeah. 1966, British sailor Francis Chichester begins his first solo sail around the world, leaving Plymouth aboard the Gypsy Moth 4. Completed it in 1967. May of 1967. So about a 9-month voyage.
That's pretty long time.
You might hear one of these songs today, since it is a Country Music Wednesday. In 1990, Garth Brooks' second album, No Fences, rolled out. It went on to become the album of the year. Had 5 different singles that were on that No Fences album. Why did it become the album of the year? Oh, I don't know, because it had 4 songs like this on it. Friends in Low Places, Two of a Kind, Working on a Full House, The Thunder Rolls, and Unanswered Prayers. All on the same album, the second one he ever put out. Go ahead and crush it, Garth.
Yeah, that's how you do your number 2 album right
Come out
there.
swinging. 2004.
And you're not going to tell me Chris Gaines was 2004.
No. There was
A little time in between.
It's not the only bad decision that Garth's made. There have been a few.
I went back and watched a video of the Chris Gaines thing about 2 days ago. Oh, my Lord.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
You know, he sang about Chris Ledoux and somehow decided that Chris Gaines was going to be the alter ego. It's bad. 2004, Hong Kong martial arts film Hero, starring actor Jet Li, opened in the United States and became the first Chinese language film to reach number 1 in the United States box office.
That's a pretty big deal.
So there were enough people that went to see the film Hero with Jet Li in the United States to make it number 1?
At the U.S. box office, yeah.
And they spoke Chinese in the movie.
And Jet Li was huge. Don't dismiss how big he was at that point.
Clearly
too.
I am.
Yeah.
Clearly.
He was huge at that point. We have go ahead. I was going to say one cool one. You had German Ernst Heinrich Hinkel made the first turbojet flight today.
John Jacob.
Yes, that's what I was thinking when I read it, too.
Yeah.
So I almost started singing the John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt song. That's good stuff.
Floyd Money Mayweather defeated MMA fighter Conor McGregor in his debut match in Las Vegas back in 2017. You remember that one. And the build-up to that one was big. Oh, McGregor can't do it. It's so different. It lasted until the 10th round. But Money Mayweather, the winner.
Which fight was it where McGregor's leg broke?
I don't. That was MMA stuff.
Yeah, okay. I couldn't remember if that was actually a injury that happened in it was MMA. Okay.
Yeah, no, that was still when he was in the octagon. Oh, where do we want to go? Let's see here. Susan Collins, the senator from Maine that never votes for anything that Republicans want, despite the fact that she has an R next to her name. She was at a grand opening in her home state of Maine and was doing the ribbon cutting. You know, had the ceremonial scissors, and she's got a red, white, and blue ribbon. For her sake, I hope the name of the place that she was cutting the ribbon, I hope the name of the business was actually Shame.
Shame, 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 shame.
She cuts the ribbon. All right, are they cheering for the... All right, now she's going to step to the podium. They're not done yet. None too pleased. I don't think that is the business name, by the way. Donald Trump yesterday held his 7th cabinet meeting since being in office. And Lance, I don't know why I am struck by this, but it's actually something that he talked about yesterday. The idea of a board meeting for a company being just public, period. You know, your local board of aldermen, they have a meeting. You can stream it online. You can watch it. Now, if they got to talk about something serious, they'll go into executive session. But it feels to me like through the years, anytime we've heard about a cabinet meeting at the White House level, that was kind of a buttoned-up deal. That was a little too serious for us to have access. We might get a picture or two, maybe a soundbite. Donald Trump hosted a 3-hour and 17-minute cabinet meeting yesterday, and at the end he said this.
I want to just thank, this is the greatest, this has never been done before. First of all, a cabinet meeting was sacred. You'd never let the fake news media in. But the fake news media isn't all fake. It's, a lot of it is, but it's not all. I think it's a great thing. I think maybe it's going to be done in the future. I hope it's going to be done. But you really get the word out. I mean, we had, each one of these people spoke. I think each one, if I thought one of them did badly, I would call that person out. I would say, Christy, what the heck are you doing? No, but no, seriously, you have a very talented group of people. They get along, they work along together. And there's something really nice about just, the openness of what we're doing. It's government. It's an open government. That's
an open government, Donald Trump says. One of the things that Tulsi Gabbard talked about in her turn to brief the entire cabinet about what was going on was the mandate to show the truth to the American people. And she's trying to do that within the intelligence community. Who? You think that's a job?
Truth and intelligence? Openness, open architecture.
Yeah, I know. Lance, I was thinking about the whole setup for the cabinet meeting. Can you imagine being one of the secretaries and you've had other stuff going on and you're like not really prepared for that?
Yeah, you're not going to have.
And it's going to go 3 hours and you have to give a report to all your colleagues and the President of the United States who's always prepared. And oh, by the way, the media's there. He made a joke at the end. He's like, somebody wasn't doing well. I'd tell him. I'd say, Christy, what are you doing? Come on. We'll be back.
Good morning to you there.
Okay, up and at 'em.
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Mornings to Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi. Thanks for joining us. Some of you have already found your way to the C Spire text line. For those of you that haven't, maybe you don't know the number. It's 601-879-4395. It's the best way for you to connect with me, to connect with us, to let your voice be heard. And we always love to hear from you. 601-879-4395. C Spire with so much good stuff going on. Let's see. They've got nationwide 5G, which means great cell coverage wherever you go. If you travel for work, not a problem. Thankful to have that as I get ready to hit the road for most of the next, 3-4 months of weekends. If you're at home, maybe you work from home, get the internet that you know you can trust. Blazing fast internet. It's called fiber to the home. It was originally 1 gig. In a lot of places, it's now available at 2 gigs. In some places, you can get up to 8 gigs of internet straight into your house. I'm just going to be honest. I appreciate my friends at C Spire and the technological advances. I don't know what you do with 8 gigs of fiber internet. Maybe you mine for Bitcoin. Or
I was going to say, you can open a Bitcoin mine in the backyard.
Hey, if that's your jam, C Spire's got you covered. And if you're one of those people that likes to be prepared just in case, maybe the 8 gigs is for you.
Maybe doing a lot of downloading.
Maybe I'll upgrade. Yeah. Maybe I'll see if we can get the home studio line up to 8 gigs from C Spire. But they've also got a business IT services team. My wife trusts their business IT services team with her business, and they've been great. It's rare that there's an issue, but you're going to have issues from time to time. So what do? You pick up the phone, and you call them, and you speak to someone you can understand. Someone that speaks Mississippi, not a foreign language. So, trust me, trust us, trust a company that has roots that are deep, deep, deep. Right here in the state of Mississippi. C Spire, inspired by you. Toby Barker was none too pleased yesterday. I suppose that we should give some level of credit to the governor of the state of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, to the mayor of Chicago, what's his name, Brandon something, whatever. Chicago's actually down this year in terms of homicides. They are trending down. We've got what? Let's see, September, October, November. We got 4 months left in the year. And so far, only 262 people have been murdered in Chicago this year. That's progress. That's on pace for what? 380, 400 for the year, something along those lines. And that would be down from 535 a year ago. And yet, even with 262 homicides in the city of Chicago this year, J.B. Pritzker, the blowhard blowhard governor from the state of Illinois, decided that he needed to put Mississippi's name in his mouth.
None of these cities is Chicago. 8 of the top 10 states with the highest.
He ran out of hot air.
Yeah, that's rare. He went on to say that 8 of the top 10 states with the highest homicide rates are led by Republicans. The problem is, wait, here we go. Let's see if we can get him. I'm not even going to listen to it. Don't worry about it.
You can get the picture of what he was saying.
He said Memphis, Tennessee, and Hattiesburg, Mississippi have worse homicide rates than Chicago. Guess how many murders there have been in Hattiesburg? Homicides in Hattiesburg, 2025. And I'll tell you, the number is too many. Do you know how many? 1. 1 homicide in the city of Hattiesburg, Mississippi, calendar year 2025.
I guess you can just say whatever you want to and get away with it these days. It's
262 of them in Chicago. Now, I don't know. Maybe per capita the math works out. Toby Barker was hot. He went on X, put the video clip up there, and he said BS, except he didn't say BS. Hattiesburg literally has 1 homicide this year. Every crime is a tragedy, but no real leader ever cheers on another city's challenges. But someone tell this out-of-touch billionaire to get his facts straight and do his political posturing some other way. There you go. Get him, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, it seems to, being able to just stand up there at your podium and say whatever you want. It must be a very liberating feeling to have no consequences,
Big news out of the city of Jackson. Police Chief Joseph Wade is retiring after nearly 30 years on the force. That was announced yesterday by Mayor John Horne. Quote from the mayor, Chief Wade leaves an indelible legacy of integrity, commitment, and visionary leadership. Citizens of Jackson are safer, and our police department is stronger because of his vision and service. On behalf of our city, I wish Chief Wade the very best as he enters his well-earned retirement. Filling the gap, at least for a little while, is Hinds County Sheriff Tyree Jones. He's going to hold the post in the interim as a nationwide search is conducted to fill the position permanently. Former U.S. Marshal George White, former Mississippi Highway Patrol Chief Colonel Charles Haynes will lead the search for a new Jackson police chief. I expected to get it done fast. Going to try and make this happen in no longer than 2 months. Jones confirmed on social media that he is not seeking the job and that his interim service will not conflict with his duties as sheriff. So now not only the sheriff of Hinds County, but the chief of police for the city of Jackson.
He's a good one.
Tip of the cap, good sir. Yeah. I know Lance is a fan.
Well, both of these guys, these men are great leaders. I've broken heart to see that Chief Wade is retiring, but at the same time, well-deserved, and he's done an amazing job. He's got great people around him, and I hope that they find another person that is as qualified and loves the city and their job as much as he did. And then you talk about Tyree Jones. Woo, I mean, that's a guy right now you don't want to even – if you put him on a football field at linebacker, defensive end, I guarantee you he could take out the competition with no trouble. That's a dude you don't want to mess with.
Wade took the reins as the top cop in Mississippi's capital city in 2023. He was appointed to the post by former Mayor Chokwe Antar Lumumba. There is an argument to be made that it's the most significant thing that Lumumba did while he was mayor in Jackson.
And getting beat, I think that was the other one.
Well, no, I mean, I'm saying this was actually a good thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The good thing was he got beat and Horne won. But, I think that's a great – the best hire was Joseph Wade.
But in Wade's 2 years as chief, Jackson began to experience a significant drop in homicides as the police department's homicide solvability rate surpassed the 90% benchmark. Also working in collaboration with the state-run Capitol Police, trying to curb crime, took criminal acts committed by anonymous perpetrators to task, got that ski mask ban in place that was eventually unanimously put into place by the city council in Jackson. Here's hoping that momentum can remain with whoever takes the reins of leadership at the Jackson Police Department moving forward.
I mean, you got to say also a lot of kudos for Capitol Police and the work they do as well. I didn't want to mention the two big dogs out there and not mention the work that they've done. They're amazing. So, and the chief there is doing a great job.
Time for your morning sports update, brought to you by Pearl River Resort. Find them online at pearlriverresort.com. I told you that yesterday. I may keep banging this drum for a little while. Fall golf season is up on us, and there's no better time and there's no better place, no more beautiful place to enjoy fall golf in Mississippi than at the Dancing Rabbit Golf Club. The Oaks, the Azaleas, a pair of 18-hole championship courses that you can play. Book your tee time online at dancingrabbitgolf.com. That's dancingrabbitgolf.com. Dancing Rabbit, part of Pearl River Resort. Yesterday, the Saints named a starting quarterback. It is Spencer Rattler. First-year head coach Kellen Moore said that in a press conference yesterday, said he's been consistent, made some really good decisions throughout the entire process. His ability to make plays with his arm and his feet have certainly shown up. He's earned this opportunity. Moore also announced, Kellen Moore did, that Taysom Hill going to start the year on the injured list called the PUP list, or physically unable to perform, along with tight end Foster Moreau. Both players coming off reconstructive knee surgery in the offseason. Quarterback decision came down to Rattler and Shug, Tyler Shug, rookie out of Louisville that was taken in the second round. Each of the two quarterbacks was, let's just be honest, pretty average in the 3 preseason games. Because of injuries to 2024 starter Derek Carr, who retired in the offseason. Rattler started 6 games a year ago as a rookie. In those 6 games, the Saints were 0-6, finished the year 5-12 overall. That's your sports update, brought to you by Pearl River Resort. We're back with you right after this. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
From the Venable Glass Truck.
Wake up! Wake up! Rise and shine!
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross.
Nice early morning surprise.
On SuperTalk Mississippi.
Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi. Thanks for joining us. It's time for your lottery update brought to you by the Mississippi Lottery, mslottery.com. Lotto America up to $2.4 million. That's the estimated jackpot for tonight. Powerball estimated to be at $815 million tonight. Cash value of $367,900,000. So a big, big number for Powerball. Monday night's numbers were 16, 19, 34, 37, 64 with a Powerball of 22. No jackpot winner on Mega Millions, but one ticket matched the 5 white balls to win $1 million. Mega Millions automatic multiplier doubled that prize to $2 million. Wow. The ticket was purchased in Moss Point Pilot Travel Center.
Wonder if it was Lathan Zimmerman. He was down in that neck of the woods yesterday.
Who?
The guy the lawyer we had on. Isn't he a Coast guy?
It was on Friday.
It was Friday. Yeah,
I got you.
If he might have been the winner there.
Maybe so. Maybe so.
We're talking about him. He was like, yeah, it's getting to that sweet spot. Yeah. 800 million's a lot more than the Mega Millions, but I'll take $2 million any day, brother, any day.
No doubt. And the Mega Millions up to $277 million for the next jackpot. That's Friday, August 29th. For my buddy Kyle, who told me every single morning I get in the truck and flip on the radio, and Richard's giving me lottery numbers. Take note, buddy. Big one tonight. Be sure and get that ticket. So much going on. That's your Mississippi Lottery update. Check out the website, mslottery.com. Trying to give you a couple of other news stories, a couple of things that are happening here in the Magnolia State. Grammy Museum, Mississippi, set to turn up the volume with the debut of a special exhibit titled 80s Rock, the Wildest Decade in Music. It opens on February 26th to the general public. There's a private deal that's happening right before that. The showcase explores the rise of hair metal and glam metal, genres that ruled the charts and concert stages with loud guitars, booming rhythms, and big personalities, yet often struggles for respect in the broader music industry. Some struggles for sobriety as well. The exhibit will feature iconic artifacts and memorabilia from some of the decade's biggest names, including Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, Def Leppard, Ozzy Osbourne, and so much more. One of the interactive things that's going to be at the exhibit, a photo station in front of a backdrop of the iconic Whiskey A Go-Go in L.A., the club where many from that era got their start.
You see the tweet, I think it was yesterday or the day before, where Tommy Lee says, he's buying a one-way ticket out of America. He can't live under Trump. See you later, buddy.
So is that in his mind a one-way ticket to paradise?
Yes. When I saw that Guns N' Roses,
to paradise,
when I saw Motley Crue was up there, I just saw that like yesterday. I'm like, man, he's looking rough too. Maybe they got like some Botox or something wherever he's going. He could use it.
Law enforcement officials in the Golden Triangle area are investigating after a gun was found in a child's backpack. The incident happened on Monday afternoon, so a couple of days ago. Officials at the West Point Consolidated School District said the firearm was discovered in an unidentified elementary school student's backpack while the pupil was on a school bus. In a message to parents, the West Point School District said, "Attention parents and guardians, this afternoon, an elementary student was found to have a firearm in their backpack while on the school bus. The weapon was secured without incident." Amen. We are working closely with law enforcement as this matter is under investigation. Thank God for nothing bad happening there, intentional or unintentional. Whew, scary, scary stuff. A man in custody after cops in Picayune found crack cocaine in his drawers. Not talking about dresser drawers either. Justin Stokes, 23 years old. There's a lesson here. Don't run a stop sign. Was originally pulled over after rolling through a stop sign on Highway 11 near Mitchell Street. Upon making contact with Stokes, officers with the Picayune Police Department discovered he had 4 outstanding warrants for possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute. Probable cause established. Search of the black Toyota Camry driven by Stokes resulted in 10 grams of marijuana being found. However, upon closer look at the suspect's person, detectives thought they needed to do a strip search. That's when they located almost 5 grams of crack cocaine located next to his hiney in the rear of his underwear. Taken into custody, charged with possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute, possession of marijuana in a motor vehicle, disregarding a traffic control device. Also got to go to court. Pearl River County Jail is his home for now. Travis Kelce and T. Swift are engaged. That's all I got for you there. Woohoo!
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
Ladies and gentlemen,
here we go. Now back to Mornings with Richard Cross.
Now that's entertainment.
I was 3 days short of pulling out of Kingsport. I was headed down to Houston town. Had a guitar pack and a burlap sack for exploiting my country sound. I bypassed Jackson, bypassed Memphis by the time I got to Arkansas. I sold my car and that black guitar for anything cool and tall. I pulled up to a neon sign on Highway 4.
7 o'clock hour. Welcome again to Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for spending part of your money with us. We'll try to keep you informed, try to keep you entertained. Got some good interviews coming your way this morning. We will continue to remember Hurricane Katrina 20 years later, which is kind of mind-blowing. We're going to do that with a group of friends from Horne. Diana Hardin, Timothy Smith, Neil Forbes, Meg Annison. We'll talk a little bit about the role that Horne played in the recovery efforts, and it was a significant one. This is not so much a money conversation, but one of the things that we talked about yesterday with Henry Barber was there was a lot of money that was coming from the federal government into the state of Mississippi and other states that were affected by Hurricane Katrina. That money had to be distributed, and it had to be accounted for, or at least most places thought it needed to be accounted for. Mississippi was one of the places where it absolutely was accounted for, dollar for dollar, and Horne's job, in part, was to make sure that happened in an efficient way, in the exact way that it was supposed to. Steve Azar will join us this morning. Some of his thoughts on Hurricane Katrina, including a performance that he had that was held at Ole Miss in 2005. What was it? Was it Mississippi Rising? Was that the name of that concert?
I don't know.
A ton of stars came in and performed at what was Tad Smith Coliseum at the time. I remember Ole Miss played football that day in Knoxville, and then you had the Mississippi concert that night in Oxford on the Ole Miss campus. This hour of Mornings with Richard Cross brought to you by MWG Employer Services. Running a business is tough, and if you're struggling with HR, benefits, and payroll, you're not alone. That's where MWG Employer Services comes in. They can provide a full range of employer services plus a custom plan that fits you. Call today, 601-206-7966, or go to MWGEmployerServices.com. Also, coming up in just a few minutes, the state auditor, Shad White, will join us. Look forward to our conversation with Shad. He has reemerged in our social media feeds after an absence. We will ask, why the absence? Most of you know the answer to that, but we'll get to that coming up in just a little while. You most likely, unless you have been living in a cave off the grid intentionally, you probably have seen in your mentions or on your feeds or listening on the radio or watching on television, you've probably seen Cracker Barrel. It was a tough weekend for Uncle Herschel. A tough, tough weekend as it became abundantly clear that Uncle Herschel was being pushed away. The understated fame of that old fella that clearly was a hard worker that just wanted a good meal and wanted to do it all over again tomorrow was being pushed away from his perch on the logo, high above those crowded parking lots at Cracker Barrel on the marquee. Those parking lots were not so crowded this weekend in some places because Cracker Barrel decided that, well, you've heard the saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, Cracker Barrel went with, it ain't broke, let's break it. They weren't even trying to fix it. Or maybe they thought they were. And in the name of what? Cracker Barrel was going to rebrand. A lot of people said they're going woke, so they're going broke. Here is one report of how things have gone. This is from Fox News, I believe. Got it. Oh, it's no good. Lance, I had it pulled up, and now I'm like having to reload it, and there it is. There it is. All right, this is from Fox News.
Is getting backlash. Cracker Barrel spending $700 million on a rebranding plan that they say will turn the product from old rustic to perhaps more modern streamlined. Customers say that's just a giant helping of biscuits and bologna. They don't like it. So after a week's worth of backlash, the Tennessee-based company did put out an apology statement of sorts, which said, in part, quote, "We know we won't always get everything right the first time, but we'll keep testing, learning, and listening to our guests and employees." But
that was tone deaf in and of itself. The CB Cracker Barrel logo with Uncle Herschel gone. A $700 million rebrand of Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, it sounds like you might want to ask some folks before you do that and spend that kind of money. You know.
Walter in Tupelo says the Cracker Barrel logo is back, so I can quit protesting and go back to work. Yeah, Walter, you can go back to work. They spent $700 million with a marketing agency and their rollout and all of the stuff to rebrand.
You're fired!
And then promptly lost $143 million in stock value because people were like, no, that's terrible. And all of a sudden it became a little more clear that Cracker Barrel from a corporate level was supporting some of the things that drive people crazy. They're like, look, I just want my pancakes. I just want my chicken and dumplings. I just want my vegetables. I just want the old country store. I don't need to know about all of your LGBTQ plus policies. I don't need you to push that down my throat when I'm looking for a little candy that I can't get anywhere else in the shape of strawberries at the old country store. So one of the board members is actually the owner as well of Steak and Shake. He's got a big position alongside some big private equity funds in Cracker Barrel stock. And this guy from the Steak and Shake account tagged the president and said, great idea, Mr. President. We appreciate your sage advice. President of the United States got involved. Cracker Barrel should go back to the old logo, admit a mistake based on customer response, and manage the company better than ever before. They got $1 billion worth of free publicity if they play their cards right. Very tricky to do, but a great opportunity. Have a major news conference today. Make Cracker Barrel a winner again. Remember, in just a short period of time, I made the United States the hottest country anywhere in the world. 1 year ago, it was dead. Good luck. So marketing advice from the president. That was early yesterday. Same day. Later in the day yesterday, article from the Wall Street Journal and a whole bunch of other places. Headline, Cracker Barrel says it's going back to its old logo after backlash, reverting to its old-timer logo after a rebrand ignited a culture war. The company said yesterday, "We said we would listen, and we have. Our new logo is going away, and our old-timer will remain."
And it cost them about $1 billion. Yeah, that's a good move.
It cost them about $1 billion. Yes, you probably will see that reflected in your, in your check when you have to carry it to the register.
Well, and the CEO, I doubt he's taking a pay cut. Any of the board members, whoever.
Turns out all of this could have been avoided because, as I mentioned a second ago, there was a board member who has been pretty successful. Started his own fund when he was in his 20s. Sardar Baglari, Cracker Barrel investor, told them from the get-go that this was a terrible idea when Cracker Barrel 15 months ago rolled out internally the transformation framework, drive relevancy, deliver food experience guests love, and grow profitability, and all the ways that they were going to do that. And Baglari was like, "This is dumb. This does not make sense. Cracker Barrel is not a broken brand, but it has a broken board." They didn't care. They powered on, powered forward. These are the things we're going to do. And then people got really mad. C-Spire text line, does the peg board go back? Well, I sure hope so. Jason in Starkville, Cracker Barrel is overrated. It's fair. It's an opinion. Their biscuits are good. Big fan of the biscuits. In fact, I'll tell you a story when the state auditor joins us coming up next. My wife, if she happens to be listening, is rolling her eyes, going, "Please don't tell that story again." Oh, by the way, they thanked President Trump for weighing in on the issue. They wanted the president to know that they heard him along with their customer response. Trump weighed in, said, "Congratulations, Cracker Barrel, on changing it back. All your fans appreciate it. Good luck into the future. Make lots of money."
From the Venable Glass truck.
It's time to switch on. Mornings with Richard Cross. On Super Talk, Mississippi.
Yeah!
Hey, oh, sorry once again.
Some of you saying that we should support local restaurants instead of Cracker Barrels anyway. I have no problem with that, but I don't have anything against Cracker Barrel. Walter in Tupelo, I'm sorry, it's Jimmy in Ripley, says he got upset at Cracker Barrel way back when they stopped serving molasses with their biscuits. And Jim, I think you can still ask for it. They just don't bring it out on their own.
The real question is, can you get mustard on your biscuits, though?
Well, I suppose. The state auditor is here this morning. Shad White, I promised I would tell this story quickly. I only have one negative experience at Cracker Barrel. Before my wife and I were married, I was going with her family to the beach, and we stopped. Her dad loved Cracker Barrel, and we stopped somewhere along the way. And as we were ordering, I was like, "And could I get some biscuits while we're waiting on the order?" Like, they would bring out a basket of biscuits as like an appetizer. And she said, "No, we can't serve those until the meal." I said, "I'm sorry, I beg your pardon?"
That's why I came here.
I need. She's like, "No, you can't have any until the meal." And I said, "Ma'am, we'll pay for them if that's a new policy. They don't have to be complimentary. But I just want a biscuit." And she said no and walked off.
About you just left there holding your triangle peg game, and you're like, "What do I do with myself? This is terrible."
No, sir, Mr. State Auditor. About that time, the table next to us finished their meal, and they got up, and I looked over, and doggone if there weren't 2 biscuits in the basket.
Oh, no, Richard, no.
I got the basket, I got the 2 biscuits, and I sat there and I waited patiently for the waitress to come back before I took the first bite. I was like, "It's okay, I got biscuits, thanks."
Oh, no.
My wife and mother-in-law were mortified.
Yeah, you're not a germaphobe, clearly.
Clearly not. Shad White joins us, state auditor.
Oh.
It has been a bit of a quiet stretch from you until the last few days on social media. That's where a lot of people hear from you on a fairly regular basis. I think we know why, but tell us.
Yeah, so I was gone for military duty for a big chunk this summer. I'm, as you may know, Richard, I'm in the Mississippi National Guard, and our guardsmen all around the country are right now, training. They're deployed in the Middle East and a lot of other places around the globe. They're in D.C., keeping the peace there. They're on our southern border, so. The National Guard are very, very busy. It's a very different guard than it was 40 or 50 years ago. So anyway, I spent a chunk of my summer doing that, but glad to be back, and my kids are glad to have me back. My 2-year-old son has been following me around like a duck for the last 4 or 5 days. Like if he brushes his teeth with me, we comb our hair together. Like he would follow me to the bathroom if I let him. He's glad to have Daddy back.
Appreciate your willingness to serve.
Yeah,
that's
thanks, man.
That's a big deal, and it's not easy to do when you get to the age where you have kids and a family and a full-time job, and you got to pick up and leave. I mean, I know the old commercials that they used to use to promote the National Guard and to recruit were 1 week in a month and 2 weeks a year.
Yeah,
but,
I don't know about that.
Pick it up and making it go. But I am curious. So as you were in Guard duty this summer, and some of these deployments are happening, whether it's first to Los Angeles or now to Washington, D.C., and potentially some other cities. What is the reaction among members of the Guard seeing this happen? Is there concern about the way the Guard is being used, or is there a willingness and an openness to, hey, this is part of what we signed up for?
Well, I can only speak for myself. I won't speak for the Guard, but I'll say for myself, when I was watching all that, my first thought was, this is why you sign up. You don't sign up to just hang out at home. You sign up and you train so that you can be of benefit to your country. And there's no greater benefit to the country than keeping us safe both home and abroad. So I've been proud of the stuff that President Trump has done, specifically with the Guard. I mean, I think it's going to make D.C. safer. It's already made D.C. safer. So I think it's a good use of the Guard, and I think there's a lot of Guardsmen around the country who probably share my view, and I'll just speak for myself, who probably share my view and think that, this is what you signed up for, is to make the country safer.
Yeah. You may have seen this or heard us talking about it earlier this morning. J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, was he was spouting off about how things aren't nearly as bad as we think they are in Chicago, which kind of reminded me of some of the campaigns where we were talking about economic issues a year ago, and they're like, no, don't believe your checking account. Just believe what we're telling you. Toby Barker and the governor both kind of fired back and said, hey, how about you worry about Illinois? There's so much going on across the country. Is there anything that Democrats are saying right now that is resonating with anyone beyond their most ardent supporters? Any part of their message that's resonating?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, and I try to be unbiased when you ask me that question and think about it just from the perspective of a dad and husband and normal voter. I don't hear anything that's compelling from them because it still feels like they're in truth denial mode. It's just what you said, Richard. When Biden was president, they were in truth denial mode about inflation. They wanted us to ignore the fact that when we went to the grocery store or the gas pump that prices were higher and things were worse. And now it's like they want their voters to ignore the fact that their cities are dangerous. Well, voters are not going to accept that if it conflicts with their own experience in life. You have to offer solutions, and you have to stop talking about the craziest elements of their agenda and actually speak about common sense ideas for real people that are going to make their lives a little bit better. And President Trump has relentlessly focused on that. I mean, I think you saw, he spoke in the last 24 hours about a new crime bill which will make America safer. Obviously deployed troops, the Guard into D.C. to make D.C. safer. Saved Cracker Barrel in the last 48 hours. All these things are actually things that touch people's real lives. And so I think as long as conservatives keep focusing on that, Democrats are going to be left in the wilderness.
I'm wondering if the position director of marketing is one that is going to go the way of the dodo bird, because some of these ideas keep not working. I'm glad you mentioned the Cracker Barrel thing. We obviously were talking about that in the last segment. But you have beat the drum about eliminating DEI within Mississippi governmental institutions, whether that's schools, colleges, universities, governmental offices. I would say a setback for that movement last week with a ruling that came from a judge here in the state of Mississippi that says, no, this is unconstitutional. What does this look like in the days, weeks, months moving forward? Because you had the legislature that said yes, other state elected officials pushing this, looks like it's moving in that direction, people starting to comply with it, and then it's like slam on the brakes. That's not going to happen right now.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good summary. I mean, a couple of years ago, we released a report that quantified how much taxpayer money was going to DEI offices at our public universities. And then we started talking also about what those university offices were doing, holding programs about the evils of whiteness and all this other sort of stuff that's just plain racist and most people in Mississippi just don't agree with. So that built up a lot of political pressure. There had been a bill that would have eliminated DEI in the education system floating around for years, but it finally passed last session. The bill was a good bill. It was written in conjunction with, I think, a couple of think tanks and other folks who had written similar legislation for other states around the country. The bill passes, gets signed into law by the governor, and as you pointed out, Richard, a federal judge not long ago enjoined the bill, which means shut down enforcement of the bill. So what happens now is that case will have motion practice. The lawyers will file motions back and forth, and then it may go to trial. Ultimately, the judge will have to make a final decision about whether or not he's going to declare the law unconstitutional. And then no matter which way he decides, I'm sure it's going to get appealed to the Fifth Circuit and could get appealed further past that. So there's a long road ahead. The good news to me is that Mississippi voters and Mississippi's representatives have made it clear that kind of stuff doesn't belong at our universities. Our universities need to be relentlessly focused on building graduates who can compete in tomorrow's economy. They don't need to be focused on this weird woke stuff. And so I hope that the universities will just take it upon themselves to shut down their DEI offices, to get taxpayer money going to the programs that actually fit our economy, and that drives job growth. That drives the creation of the workers and the thinkers and the leaders that we need for tomorrow.
Someone on the C Spire text line asked who the judge was. It's District Judge Henry Wingate, who, interestingly enough, was actually a Ronald Reagan appointee, if I remember correctly. Ronald Reagan or George Bush?
I think Reagan's right.
Yeah, I think it was Reagan who appointed him. And there are a lot of people that say he has generally been a pretty good judge, even if they significantly disagree with this ruling. We'll see where it goes.
Yep.
And wouldn't it be nice if we could get to a point where you didn't have to have affirmative action in hiring, you didn't have to have DEI mandates. It was just, and I mean this genuinely, I don't care about skin color. What if it was just the person who was best suited for the job got the job?
Yep. That's how you have the best universities possible, the best companies possible. That's how the most talented people rise to the top and get the best results. And that's the world we need to be moving toward.
Hang with us for just a couple more minutes, if you don't mind.
Sure.
On the other side, we'll talk a little bit about SNAP in Mississippi. Will the state of Mississippi be requesting a waiver to get rid of sugary goodness or badness within the SNAP program? We'll take a time out. We're back right after this. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi. Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
Ready? Mornings with Richard Cross.
People want to hear the truth, man. That's what we're going to do.
SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Hey, quick reminder, Sports Talk Mississippi will be in Oxford at the College Corner off Sisk Avenue. That's in the Oxford Commons tomorrow. Get all your game day gear for the kickoff of the college football season, plus great deals throughout the store. Your home for all Rebel gear is at College Corner in Oxford, the Oxford Commons off of Sisk Avenue. Shad White, the state auditor, is my guest, and we were talking about some of the DEI stuff in advance of right before the break, and We had a message on the ceasefire text line, and I don't know if it was a question as much as a statement. Please tell the state auditor that Ole Miss just simply renamed its DEI department and retitled people. I don't think anyone actually lost their jobs. How does that help save money?
Yeah, I totally hear you. You know, you have some states, North Carolina as an example, where they shut down that DEI office and eliminated positions, and they could point to dollars saved, and then they reoriented those dollars and spent them on campus police, which is a great common sense thing to do to make our campuses safer. My concern right now, because the DEI law has been stopped by a federal court, my concern right now is that the Ole Miss DEI office and maybe some of the others are just going to change the name at the top of the door, and all the same people will be there doing all the same things. That's why you have to have political leadership too, to step up and say, all right, I'm going to appoint people to the IHL board that runs our universities that are going to put a stop to this. Like you have to attack this problem from all angles, and you got to have folks who are elected who will say, all right, enough of this, we're going to put a stop to it, and we're not going to let you just change the name and keep doing what you've always wanted to do. This is the sort of rot at the core of a lot of our universities, is that the folks who work in these DEI offices believe they have a moral duty to stand up for their viewpoints, even as crazy as those viewpoints are. And so you've got to just shut that down. That's the responsible thing to do.
You mentioned the IHL. That is an appointed board with long terms and a lot of responsibility. And I don't think there's anything easy about asking a single board to manage 8 universities. Mm-hmm. And 8 universities that are vastly different in the way they're put together, in the way their student population exists, in the way they're run, all of those things, and they're all run by the same board. As you look at different state agencies and different entities within the state of Mississippi, what concerns do you have about the IHL?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just voiced the biggest concern is that you have a board of people who are still in their careers. You know, you have folks who are running companies and are busy, and they're trying to, at the same time, serve as the oversight board for a bunch of different universities that are very different. And if you're not careful, that board can become a rubber stamp for whatever the craziest people at the universities want them to do. So I don't know what the answer is ultimately. It may be breaking that board up into having individual boards for each institution. It may be another structure entirely. But bottom line is, like, our universities are incredibly important to this state. You know, one of the biggest challenges that we have as a state going forward is keeping and training enough talented people to fuel our workforce. That is the biggest challenge our economy has for the next 25 years. Our universities and also our community colleges and workforce training programs, these are the places where that training is supposed to happen. If we don't get this right, I guarantee you that other states, Texas, North Carolina, Tennessee, they're going to figure out how to get it right. And there will be a giant sucking sound of jobs going to those states because the workers will be there. The skilled and talented workers will be there. We have to get this right.
A couple of weeks ago, and this was while you were away for a part of the summer, we got the USDA announcement that 6 states had applied for and had received waivers for the elimination of sugary, unhealthy foods being purchased with SNAP program benefits. Mm-hmm. I'm glad you were away for a little while because I think you would have pounced on that. I actually jumped on that pretty quickly, and so maybe I was just ahead of you on that while you were at guard duty. But I likened it to the whole education. I am intentionally not calling it the Mississippi Miracle. I know that bothers a lot of people. But going from last to a very respectable place in the education rankings, people said it could never be done. In terms of health rankings and health outcomes, Mississippi is at the bottom, just like they were in education. Is there a scenario where, as a state, we can become significantly more healthy? And is that why you think the elimination of this part of the SNAP benefit program or the ban of the sugary purchases should be part, or is there something else that bothers you about that?
I think that's absolutely part of the solution. President Trump and several other red states have led the way on this. We just released a report earlier this week, Richard, which you probably saw, that found that among SNAP recipients in Mississippi, and we'll just call them food stamps because that's what we called them growing up, folks who get food stamps spend about 11% of their stamp value on sugary drinks or candy alone. And so that's the kind of thing that other states are banning with permission from the Trump administration. And yes, we should do that too in Mississippi. That's just good common sense government. We should not, as taxpayers, be paying for sugary drinks and candy and then also paying for the health care of those same people through Medicaid and watching our tax dollars fuel chronic diseases, which are then more expensive for us to treat as taxpayers later on. By our estimate, if you could reduce chronic diseases like obesity, diabetes, heart disease by just 1% in Medicaid among those SNAP recipients, you could save $22 million a year. So that's just good common sense government and a change that we need to make. But going back to your bigger question, is that going to solve the problem of health outcomes in Mississippi? Absolutely not. Really what we need to be talking about when we're talking about making Mississippi healthy again is not just policy changes, but we've got to have a healthier population that embraces good nutrition and embraces exercise. I think that starts with our kids. I've been really pleased to see President Trump roll back out the presidential fitness test, which was a big deal when I was a little boy, probably when you were too. And we need a governor's fitness test here in Mississippi to encourage kids to exercise. We have so many kids that graduate from high school that can't even pass a basic military fitness test to join the military. And I've had buddies who told me...
You remember Governor Barber, the Let's Go Walk in Mississippi campaign?
Yeah.
I remember those commercials. Let's go walk in Mississippi.
Yeah.
Sorry.
For our kids,
interrupted.
Maybe it needs to be like, let's go run a mile real fast. We really need to rethink physical education in Mississippi for our children and start teaching good habits early on. That's the way we really solve the long-run health crisis. And for anybody who believes that we can't do that in Mississippi, well, again, look at our educational outcomes in the last couple of years. They've improved dramatically. We still got a long way to go, but they've improved dramatically. We can get at these big challenges, but it's going to take energetic leadership. It's going to take people with a very clear vision of what to do and a proven ability to get results.
Can you do the 100 push-ups, 50 pull-ups challenge?
I did it yesterday. Yeah. I did it yesterday. Yeah, I was in the gym yesterday and
What was the time?
I'm not going to tell you the time. It was bad.
Really?
I had already worked out a little bit, so I'd run, and I was like, I'm going to do that Hegseth thing. I'm not going to film myself because I didn't know if I could do it yet. I was like, I'm going to do this Hegseth thing, and I cranked it out, and it is harder than you would think. 2 years ago, I could do it weighted, so I would put a weighted vest on and do 50 pull-ups and 100 push-ups, but then I was pretty much smoked after that. So if you ever want to try it, Richard, I'll come to Oxford and we can go to the gym and knock it out.
I can do the 100 push-ups. I mean, not like 100 straight. I'd break it up probably into sets of 20 or 25.
Yeah, 25 is easy, yeah.
I cannot do the 50 pull-ups. No, I'm not saying I couldn't train and get there, but as it stands today, 100% no.
Well, I tell folks, if you're trying to train for pull-ups, jump up into the pull-up position and get there and hold it as long as you can. And then when you can't hold it any longer, don't just drop. Lower yourself as slowly as possible. And if you do that every time you work out, pretty soon you'll be doing 5 pull-ups, 10 pull-ups, 50 pull-ups.
Question, just very matter of fact on the C Spire text line. Paul and Hernando, is he still going to run for governor?
Well, it's been fun being here. I appreciate Paul's question.
I mean, I just thought I'd throw it out. We got a minute 40 until the break.
Look, I'll say this. I've made it very clear that I'm seriously considering running for governor in the next election. Part of the reason is,
if not governor, something else?
Well, I'll say this. I've been auditor for 7 years now at this point, and the role of auditor is to look at how our executive branch functions and to find inefficiencies and things we could be doing better. You cannot fix those things as auditor. You can only audit. And so a lot of my expertise that I've built in the last 7 years and the expertise in my team is in fixing government agencies and making them more efficient. And so that's generally what the governor does, in addition to overseeing our response to disasters and being commander-in-chief of the National Guard. So that's one of the reasons why I've talked openly about it. But look, I'll say this too. I have 3 kids, ages 2, 4, and 6. I look at my kids and I think we need to be doing everything possible to make Mississippi better for them. What can I do to make that happen? And I think it is taking some of the lessons I've learned and applying those to government more broadly. And so we'll see what the future holds. No announcement today, but I appreciate Paul asking the question from Hernando.
If you ever want to make an announcement, we're here.
There you go.
5 mornings a week.
There you go.
I'm here like 4 mornings a week, but, it's open invitation. Shad White, State Auditor here in Mississippi. Thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you.
Take a time out. Wrap up the 7 o'clock hour with you. Coming up next.
From the Venable Glass Truck.
What are we going to do? Rise and shine with information and insight. Check it out. Mornings with Richard Cross. Super Talk, Mississippi.
Have mercy on me when it comes across and the good dollar woman that just scares the devil right out of me.
Good to be with you on this, what is today? Wednesday morning, the 27th of August. Just for a second. Just humor me just for a second, Lance. And 2027. The 2027 election cycle in Mississippi is going to be wild.
Yeah, I think the very light way of putting it. But wow.
Andy Gibson has declared he is the state commissioner of agriculture. Shad White has not shied away from the fact that he is considering it. It is the worst kept secret in the state of Mississippi that Tommy Duff is considering a run for governor. The Attorney General, Lynn Fitch, very much is considering a run for governor. I feel like there are people that I'm not thinking about right now whose names have been bandied about.
Yeah, there are more.
But Philip Gunn's name, the former Speaker of the House, has been bounced about. Delbert Hoseman's name has been thrown about a bunch, and we've asked him about it. I have a thought here, and I don't know if the state auditor's listening or not, and I would say this to him if he were sitting here and could respond. If you've been with us kind of since the beginning, you know that the first interview that I did with Shad was a little contentious, and it was following the back and forth in the Senate hearing committee where he got sideways with Senator Polk and kind of turned into a shouting match, and I don't know, it was a little tense. We've had several conversations since, and they've all been good. I have a thought as it pertains to Shad White. The version of the state auditor that you heard this morning with his political views, but the tone and the delivery, that version that you heard, that's electable in Mississippi. Now, there is a segment of the population that loves the constant barbs on Twitter and the outspokenness, and I'll say anything to anybody in any setting, anytime, and not really caring about. There's a portion that really, really likes that, maybe even loves that, doesn't care if it feels unpolished. But I think it hurts electability. The delivery that you heard from Shad White this morning, that's a version that's electable in Mississippi.
I do not disagree. I mean, he has such experience in the role that he's in. He also is serves our country, so he has that. He's a family man. There's all these things that happen, though, in politics.
And he's a really smart guy.
Yeah, that's
also.
what I'm saying. He's a very smart guy. Yeah. Does a great job. I mean, really conscientious about the work he's hired and elected to do. And making that decision's tough, going from where you are to looking out 2 years and going, this governor's race is going to be crowded. But he has the ability, as you said, and the way he presents, especially today, I think, is the type of candidate you're looking for. Sure. Calm, collected, intelligent, able to debate, and keeps it together. And again, he's a sharp guy. I mean, we've got some great talent on the bench.
Yeah, and look, I mean, as you look ahead to 2 years, you're like, well, how's Mornings with Richard Cross going to handle the governor's race? We're going to attempt, especially in the primary, we're going to be observers. We're going to be critics. We are going to do as many interviews as we can. We're going to try to understand positions. And we are going to quietly, when nobody is watching, jump up and down and cheer and hope for 4, 5, 6, 7 viable candidates in that race, because it has a chance to be one of the most fun 6-8 months leading up to that race that we've had in politics. If you like politics, if you're a political junkie, it kind of makes you salivate just a little bit. Hey, do you have the dream of owning land? Doesn't everybody, to some degree, in this part of the country, in this part of our state, or in our state, have that dream of owning a piece of property? Maybe it's a big place where you make the hunting rules. Maybe it's a smaller tract where you just want to build a dream home or a cabin just to get away. Maybe you recognize that land is a great investment because simply there's not any more that is being made. Let me tell you, if you have any of these dreams about my friends at David Fisher Land Company, based in Inverness in the heart of the Mississippi Delta, they service all of Mississippi, all of Arkansas, all of Louisiana. David Fisher Land Company has been in business for over 40 years. They have experience in farm and recreational land brokerage, land appraisals, farmland management. Whether you're looking for 100 acres or several thousand, or maybe you just want to find that perfect hunting club and buy an equity share in it. From DeSoto County all the way to the South Delta, David Fisher Land Company is ready to earn your business. Customers across the Southeast, they can help you sell as well. Let me give you the names and the website, davidfisherland.com. David, Jack, Travis, they'd all love the opportunity to help you with your land needs. Tell them about us. Tell them when you talk to them that you heard about them from us on SuperTalk Mississippi on Mornings with Richard Cross. DavidFisherland.com, DavidFisherland.com. The one and only Steve Azar will lead off the 8 o'clock hour for us next.
Your home for
Hey, how's it going, man?
the news you need.
Every 10, 15 minutes, there's something.
The talk you love.
They really talk about the things that matter. I'm into all that stuff.
Mornings with Richard Cross. SuperTalk Mississippi.
We're in cold water, and we're in too deep. Yeah, we're in cold water.
If you want to join the conversation, we'd love to hear from you. C Spire text line is open. Looking for game-changing technology? You need C Spire on your team. 5G wireless, fiber home internet, business IT solutions built as tough as your defense. Hopefully as tough as your defense. They're tough, though. Learn more at cspire.com. C Spire, inspired by you. 20 years ago, there was a concert in Tad Smith Coliseum that came together in about a week, maybe 2 weeks. It was the Mississippi Rising concert to raise money for the victims of Hurricane Katrina. A star-studded event. Morgan Freeman opened the ceremonies. By the way, no political leanings in this one. Just everybody set their differences aside, and they came together to support Mississippi. Macy Gray was there. Ray Romano performed a lighthearted monologue. Jason Alexander from Seinfeld fame and others. Delta Burke and Gerald McCraney. Whoopi Goldberg was there. Faith Hill sang, as did our very own Steve Azar, Mississippi's cultural ambassador. He joins us this morning with guitars hanging in the background from his home office. Good morning, my friend.
Hey, buddy. Good to talk to you, as always. I can't believe it's been 20 years.
I know.
You know, it's been a long. I mean, have we aged? You and me? No, we haven't.
You haven't aged a day. I have aged significantly.
No, I've aged. I tell you what, it's that's the first time I ever met Kat Cora. I was a big fan of hers on my tour bus. I was a big Food Network fan. That was sort of in the mid 90s to. Which I didn't have hits. I mean, I had some charting in the 40s or whatever. I don't know what it was. But I had a bad start with an independent label. And then I had hits with Monday and Waiting on Joe. And then I during this 7-year stretch on the back of my bus, I fell in love with Iron Chef Kat Cora. I didn't realize she was from Mississippi until halfway through the few years. And then she comes out of the kitchen, and I went, oh, my gosh. Well, we've had such a great relationship ever since. So that was the moment. I remember Faith. Faith always called me Mississippi. That was my name to her. And when she was growing up as a kid, and I was playing the Neshoba County Fair on the rock stage to close it out annually, she'd be out in the front row. And we ended up in the same office at the same time in Nashville. And she goes, what are you doing here? Shouldn't you be in L.A. or New York, I think was the thought process. And I said, well, I was trying there, but I kept getting turned down. So I'm here. I got a writing deal. So anyway, a lot of turn downs in my life before things started going north, you know.
Well.
But, yeah, that was a great event. I walked off the stage. I remember us doing Flatlands. So Flatlands was a song that was this constant work in progress for me, Richard. And I actually did it for Stevie Ray Vaughan's tribute at the Delta Blues Festival with Albert King to my left. And I did it with Son Thomas. And then we did Pride and Joy. Well, this song took all these transformations of the different bands I had along the way. And eventually this thing would become like the thing we did all over the place. It was like the crowd favorite. It was just a jam. I threw away the choruses, talks about going down a Mississippi highway and everything you feel and see and can imagine. And that's the song I decided to play. When I walk off stage, Samuel L. Jackson was to my right and Morgan was to my left. And they were looking at the monitors. And Morgan goes, Steve, you're a different beast when you do something like that. And then Samuel L. goes, now that's how you do it. And I remember walking through, it was like walking through the uprights, you know? You know what I mean? I felt like I'd completed the 67-yard field goal, and I was the ball.
That's beautiful.
Between those two.
That cadence you just gave on what Samuel L. Jackson said is perfect because I can hear him going, what's in your wallet? Now that's how you do it. Well done.
How you do it. That's how you do it.
I remember that vividly. I was not there because Ole Miss had a football game that day. Ole Miss played at Tennessee in Knoxville, and I remember there were some people that were, affiliated with the university that were, as soon as the game was over, they were jumping on a jet and headed straight back to get back for the Mississippi Rising deal. Is there a single memory from that event? Because it was in Tad Smith Coliseum, which had some great events through the years, but was not necessarily the best performance venue ever. What do you remember specifically from that night beyond that interaction?
Well, you're saying that, but I grew up going to basketball camp back in the day with Bob Weltic, right? That was my days growing up, and a
lot of great memories from that building.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, and then we'd go see our cheerleaders when they were competing in that building, and that was back in the day when it was so competitive, and I'm sure it still is. But back in those days, I mean, they had to have support our cheerleaders. It was serious business, and so that place was a big memory for me, especially in basketball camp. I think just being on that stage and seeing a lot of basketball games growing up as a kid, and knowing you're on that stage. It's like when you finally get to play Madison Square Garden or you finally get to play the Boston Garden, which I was able to play every arena in the country, I believe. And there's surreal moments, Richard, when you go, I'm here now on the stage rather than – and this should be a basketball court, not a stage. And no, but, also –
by the way, is the first time that Tad Smith Coliseum has ever been compared to Madison Square Garden and the Boston Garden in the same sentence. Well done. That's a first.
Yeah. Here you go. You're so welcome. It didn't feel any different. Let me just tell you. All right. And so the bottom line was there was a feeling in the air of why we were there. And I think you said something. The political sides were, back then it just wasn't as visible as it is now because of social media and you know how everybody stands. Because most people out there can't take 24 hours to think about what they say before they say it. They don't do the 24-hour rule. Thus, a lot of people say too much. But there was a feeling in the air about why we were there, and you could sense it. I mean, we were a long way from the coast, but you could feel why we were there. And I know the coast was devastated in a way that was, which almost seemed non-repairable, at some point. But look what they've done.
Yeah, it's been incredible. We had a great conversation yesterday with Henry Barber, kind of talking about that recovery commission that he was on, that Jim Barksdale was kind of the chair of, and the big picture imagining or reimagining they did is incredible. You've got a busy week you are going to play One Mississippi, a Katrina event coming up. And then later this week, you will be in Hattiesburg singing the national anthem before Mississippi State and Southern Miss start the college football season. Big week for you.
I'm going to tell you something. Matt Perkins at Pearl River Resort, you know him well.
Absolutely.
He's such a dear friend now that he's taken me out of anthem retirement. I retired after the Detroit Motor Speedway, and before that, I believe it was Monday Night Football at Green Bay, and it was cold. And Jim McMahon was with me. It was the first time he had been at a game in 9 years. And ironically, Kat Cora was in. So we had just got through shooting the day before my video for Catfish Christmas, and Kat was in it. Jim McMahon was in it. And Jim, we convinced him to go to the first football game in 9 years.
Wow.
And I remember walking in the locker room and seeing Brett. Brett and I had made a record together for the NFL on Gridiron Records, which, wasn't a great record, but it was a lot of fun. And it was in the mid-'90s. And so I ended up going up there doing a lot of anthems. And we all became friends and all that. And Brett, I walk in the locker room, he's getting taped up, and they go, why are you with Steve? And I said, because, Mac won his second Super Bowl ring as a backup quarterback to Brett. A lot of people don't know that he played for the Packers that year, of all the teams, So anyway, long story short, we were there, and it was great. And they weren't going to let us stay on the field. I remember them saying, Steve, I know you like to stay on the field, but you can't Monday Night Football. And they saw McMahon. And when we walked out in the field, he had this wolf hat on. And the crowd, it was rock and roll, man. It was Mick Jagger walking into a stadium. And it went so crazy that they looked at me and said, Steve, you guys can stay on the field. So it was a great anthem. But he's got me doing it, and I'm honored to do it. I just felt like I probably did 50 plus in my time. And I'd said I think it was time to hang it up and let the younger people do it. But Matt's such a good friend. He goes, you're doing it. I said, okay, I'll do it. Whatever you tell me. I'll do it.
For my money, Whitney Houston sang the greatest national anthem of all time at Super Bowl 25 with the backdrop of the Gulf War going on. There are a lot of performers that have said it is one of the most difficult songs to do and do well. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, you got to have a voice. I was telling Matt, I know Chief Cyrus Ben's going to be there. I said, if I look like I'm being stuck up, you got to let me rest my voice because I got to have it all. Because it goes so low and it goes so high. And you want to go as low as you can go and high as you can go, and they're so far apart. Stapleton also did one of the greatest.
Oh, he's amazing.
He blew my mind. So when you see people do that, it's amazing. But what I don't love is I'm a minute and 30 seconds at the most, so I'm in and I'm out.
Take the under.
I don't like seeing our national anthem take 6 minutes.
Will you have a guitar?
Have you experienced that?
Oh yeah. Will you have a guitar with you?
Yeah. I'm going to have my sidekick, Jason Young, singing it with me, who sang on every record that I basically have ever done in my life, and he's my sidekick on stage. You've seen him before. My big conga player, percussionist.
Absolutely.
And, we love to do the anthem together. The last few we've done together.
That will be absolutely fantastic. That's in Hattiesburg this Saturday, right before kickoff of Mississippi State and Southern Miss at the Rock. Steve Azar, host of In a Mississippi Minute right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, Mississippi's cultural ambassador. Always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks so much for your time.
Love you, pal. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Mornings with Richard Cross. We'll talk more about Katrina when we come back.
From the Bendable Glass Traffic.
Conversations and clarity. What a great way to start your Mississippi day. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
I'm a hard-working man. I wear a steel hard hat. I can ride rope, a hammer and paint, do things with my hands that most men can't. I can't get ahead no matter.
Glad to be with you on this Wednesday morning, middle of the week. We are counting down at this point the minutes to the start of the college football season on the C Spire text line. Dan in Hattiesburg said, I joined late. Did you say that Steve Azar singing the national anthem at the Rock in Hattiesburg this weekend? That is exactly what we said. So be sure, Dan and friends, to be in your seat well before kickoff so you don't miss that. We are remembering Hurricane Katrina, 20 years in the rearview mirror this week. Had a great conversation yesterday with Henry Barber and talked about some of the recovery efforts that happened on the coast in the immediate and then also kind of the long-term aftermath of the storm. Some remembrances from Steve Azar just a few minutes ago. And now a group of friends join us from Horne, their headquarters there in the Jackson metro area. Meg Annison joins us. She is a director at Horne and is kind of over corporate communications. We've got Timothy Smith, Diana Hardin, and Neil Forbes all with us. I beg your pardon, Scott Keller with us this morning as well. And appreciate all of you coming in. An interesting relationship between Horne and Katrina. Meg, let's start with you and talk about what is happening at the two museums in the Jackson area later today.
Will do. So first of all, we are the lead sponsor of an exhibit there. It's called Hurricane Katrina, Mississippi Remembers, Photographs by Melody Golding. So this is an exhibit running from early March through November 7th. And in tandem with that sponsorship, we are participating in a roundtable today at the two museums at noon in downtown Jackson. This is part of their regular History is Lunch program. And so we've got several team members on hand who are going to kind of provide their testimony, boots on the ground, what they experienced during those early days of recovery. I don't know if a lot of the audience knows we worked very closely with MEMA and MDA during the recovery process, so we'll have representatives from there speaking to that experience as well.
And Scott, Diana, Timothy, I'm just going to kind of throw this out there and let whichever of the three of you wants to take it to kind of start our conversation. I think most people know Horne to some degree as a financial services firm, a business services firm with its roots in accounting, and might ask the question, how does this pertain to the recovery efforts tied to Katrina? So if one of you doesn't mind, kind of take us back 20 years and talk to us a little bit about the role that Horne played in the aftermath.
You know, it's a great question. And again, thanks for the invite to come join with you today. Neil Forbes is here as well. He's a lot better looking than me. So, I have a face that, as we were talking about before, is made for radio. Then when I saw the cameras, I thought, oh, no, we got cameras here today. So, look, the amazing story that goes into this Katrina recovery is the leadership of the state of Mississippi coming together and looking at these resources from the federal government and saying, you know what, this is a lot of money that the federal government is trying to work with us and help us in this partnership. We want to make sure that as we spend these dollars, that we're doing it in a way that absolutely avoids fraud, waste, and abuse. And so, Governor Barber.
I've heard those terms before.
You've heard them. I think you've heard them. And I think that Governor Barber was before his time, and I think that really was the reason why Horne stepped into this position, because Governor Barber said, I don't want to have an engineering firm manage these dollars. I want accountants. I want to make sure that these dollars are spent in the way intended, and I want to make sure that I don't put my state at risk for recapture. Because with these federal dollars, if you spend them wrong, they don't just say, hey, do better next time. They take the money back, and a lot of times you've already spent it. That means it comes out of general revenue. And if you look at it back in time, $5 billion in this particular funding, community development block grant, $5 billion was the budget for the state of Mississippi back when Katrina hit, was $5 billion. So the governor, I think, rightly said, I need to make sure that we are really good stewards of these dollars. I don't want a bunch of engineers. I want a bunch of accountants. And that's really where Horne's efforts in this space were born.
And, we've got a very recent example that has grabbed headlines. The concert that they had, or the event that they had out in California, where reportedly they raised $100 million. And there have been questions of where did that money go. Diana, how much of that was the role that Horne played, where there will be an accounting of every single dollar that is spent so that there is accountability?
Right. Yes, that was our primary responsibility, was making sure that those funds got spent correctly and it was properly documented. With federal funds comes lots of red tape and lots of regulations and requirements, and so that was our role, was to really to help these communities, make sure that they were documenting everything appropriately to reduce that risk of paying back funds. And I'll tell you, some of these small cities and towns got tens of millions of dollars in money like they've never seen before. And it was a big relief. I could tell on their faces when we came in and sat with them and walked them through the process and let them know we were going to hold their hand through the whole process and make sure that everything was documented and spent correctly. So that was our primary responsibility, was to protect the state.
So, Timothy, how much of the way the money was distributed was in an advisory role versus an accounting role? I mean, were you and the team vetting the way where the money was going, or was it more of a, we've been told this is where the money's going, now we're going to help administer it and make sure that it's used in the proper way?
No, we have to vet first, and this is something we do all over the country now as well, but you first have to make sure that the money is an eligible use of those funds. So, and quite honestly, Richard, that can be contentious, right? You have people that they have a desired outcome in their community. They have an idea as to how this money should be spent. They may even want to cure some ills that were existing before the disaster. And so we have to make sure that these funds that are administered are eligible. The federal regs have a lot to say about that, and even drilling down beyond that, and let's say in a HUD CDBG-DR perspective, you have an action plan that is created, and you have to follow not only the federal regs but the plans that you submitted to the federal government. And so it gets very complicated, and there's a lot of emotion involved, and so we have to be advocates for the truth, advocates for the facts. We have to be transparent in what is done, because there's accountability across the board for us, for the state, for the recipients and subrecipients of the funds. And so that's a good question. The first filter that you have to go through, though, is you have to make sure that the use of the money is eligible. Then you have to make an accounting of that and make sure that it remains eligible downstream.
Were there different pots of money that were being distributed and were being administered? Because we talked with yesterday with Henry Barber, who was on that recovery commission and that was a private group that the governor instituted, that Jim Barksdale ran, and Henry was kind of the day-to-day operations, and he talked a lot about their role as kind of reimagining what the coast could look like, as opposed to just building back the way it was. Forgive the long-winded question, but were there different pots of money that you were having to manage?
You know, we've got a partner who retired recently, but Brian McDonald, who was the governor's kind of point person on a lot of these policy issues and helped work through a lot of these plans, has a spreadsheet that he likes to carry around, and it was a very large spreadsheet.
Oh,
it
wow.
was one of those you almost got to you got to go to the guys that print out the blueprints for your home to get this spreadsheet.
The wide format printer.
You got it. And that is so there were pockets and buckets of funding from all across the government, and the federal government, local government. And again, I think that's really one of the greatest stories to really talk through is, you know, and with Horne, you know, when we talk about CDBG, there's been $100+ billion spent on CDBG, disaster recovery and MIT dollars.
All right, what does that acronym stand for?
Yeah, sorry about that. So community development block grant dollars for disaster recovery and for mitigation. It is one of the pots of money that the Congress, when they see a really big event and say, you know what, we need to do more. We need to do more than what FEMA can do. FEMA is going to restore the buildings. We need to restore the community. And so the Congress comes and says, all right, this is a place where we need to help out a little extra. The Congress has done that, you know, well over about $120 billion worth over since just before Katrina. And Horne has administered over $60 billion of that. So this is something we do all across the country. And so when you look at how these dollars are spent, the story here is that the amazing work of the state, and local governments going to Congress and fighting for their cause. And that was led by Governor Barber. And I got to tell you, Senator Cochran, the delegation,
Scott, forgive me for
I hear the music.
Hold that thought. We're going to pick this up on the other side of the break. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk SuperTalk, Mississippi.
You're waking up to what matters. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
There was some blue and sorrow time. Just my thoughts about you bring back my peace of mind. Gypsy lady.
Good to be with you this morning. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi. We've got the team from Horne, or at least part of the team from Horne, with us this morning, including Diana Hardin and Timothy Smith and Meg Annison and Scott Keller, and I think Neil Forbes is hanging out in the green room in one of those big, comfortable chairs.
No, he's in the actual studio.
He's there as well.
Being real quiet over there.
Who knew we needed more microphones than we have in that big studio, Lance?
No.
Meg, I want to go back to the event that is happening today at the two museums here in Mississippi and in downtown Jackson. What's the format? Can people still attend if they don't have tickets yet? Give us the rundown for today.
It's a free event, open to the public. Like I said earlier, it occurs from noon to 1. The setup, at least on our end, is going to be very informal. Like, Timothy's going to take the lead. It's going to be a Q&A, conversational bit between. We've got 4 people speaking. We have Alethea Thomas from Horne. I'm drawing a blank. Who else is speaking?
Scott,
obviously. That's why you're here.
Chuck Bierman and Clayton French.
And Clayton French. So it's going to be an easy conversation. At the end, it's probably going to be like 5 or 10 minutes for Q&A from the audience.
You know, when I think it's kind of a general question about disaster recovery. I think about chainsaws and skid steers and dump trucks and debris removal, and that very much was kind of the first step before you could begin rebuilding. But all of those people kind of have to be paid for their services. And there's some volunteer work that happens in the immediate aftermath. How much of that was dealing with vendors, the work that you guys did in allocating funds, or was this allocation of money with these grants after that part of the recovery process happened?
I would say we came alongside the city and county governments as they worked directly with the vendors. We did not deal directly with the debris removal vendors and the other vendors involved in that, though we worked with the cities and counties to make sure they knew what they needed from those vendors to make sure the files were documented. You wouldn't believe the volume of paper with just the debris removal, all the load tickets. I can't tell you how many hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of pages of load tickets, and those have to have engineers signing off on them as to their capacity full and that sort of thing. This is a major process, and so lots of work went into making sure that these communities had the documentation they needed to support what happened there to avoid the fraud, waste, and abuse that we talked about earlier, because that was the biggest risk area for it, was with the debris removal. But we worked, like I said, with the cities and counties, so they knew what documentation to get, and they were requiring that of their vendors.
That's the voice of Diana Hardin. Timothy, let me ask you this. You mentioned a couple of times that Horne now works all over the country in these natural disaster recovery efforts, and kind of the accounting and the accountability side of distributing money. Is that because of the experience and the success based on as a company what you did with Katrina?
It is, Richard. Interestingly, Hurricane Katrina was somewhat of a sea change nationally. So not only Horne but other firms of our type were brought in after the fact across the country. It created an industry in a way. Governor Barber and his team were very innovative in bringing in accountants into a disaster area, if you will. And so the positive result that you saw in Mississippi for a long time has been the example of how you handle a major disaster, and that still stands today. MEMA and MDA are still kind of beacons in the country for how you do this, and Horne, of course, played a role in that and worked with a lot of good people in the process. But we were able to take the experience that we developed through Hurricane Katrina and take it on the road. And so we have more employees in the state of Texas, I believe, as a firm than anywhere else, even though we're headquartered in Ridgeland, Mississippi. We've worked in New York State. We have a large office in Puerto Rico. We have had a lot of work in California. We have work in Hawaii with the Maui fires. We work all over the place, North Carolina, Florida, and that's a direct result of the work that we participated in with Hurricane Katrina.
And one of our team members even said we helped write that guidebook, in a sense, for disaster recovery.
Yeah.
Scott, I was just going to say, Timothy's made reference a couple of times to the need for accountants in disaster recovery. Is there a need for your accountants or your other team members that are involved with this to go to the places where these disasters occur and actually see firsthand what it is, as opposed to just operating from a spreadsheet in an office that may be hundreds or even thousands of miles away?
Yeah, Richard, I think it's critical to have a full spectrum of services when it comes to that. So, accounting is in our DNA. And so we come at every problem from that perspective of compliance, from that perspective of transparency. But because we've been in so many disasters now, we've learned a couple of things about how to actually provide the execution and how to make these programs run better. And I think that's really the amazing thing, too, about this little firm in Ridgeland, Mississippi, which is now all across America doing these services. And, it goes back to Chuck Bierman with MDA, Nell Rogers with MDA, Lynn Seals with MDA. Those are the folks that kind of beat us up to teach us this is what we need. We took that and we went everywhere. We went to Puerto Rico. We're now one of the most amazing things for us is to be honored to have been selected to help the county of Maui in their recovery from the Lahaina fires, which was just a absolutely devastating, tragic event right there in a very small area where hundreds of people died, thousands of properties were destroyed. And for Horne out of Ridgeland, Mississippi to have been selected to come there and help them not only keep those dollars accountable, but to design their programs in a way that helps them recover quickly and humanely. And so we're really excited about that. We're really excited about the lessons that we learned here and honored by the communities that have trusted us to come stand by their side and partner with them in their recoveries.
Richard, I'd add to that, too, that the majority of our government services practice personnel have been directly affected by disasters. And so they know what it feels like because they've lived it. We understand the feelings of loss because we've participated in that in a very personal way. And we've moved beyond just being an accounting firm. We have I made a mistake in my youth and went to law school. I'm trying to work that off now. But we have a bunch of lawyers and we have engineers and we have accountants and we have a bunch of different disciplines that I think married together create a machine that is perfectly designed for the work that we do.
And I'll say, too, with that first project we ever had, our Cornerstone project with MEMA doing the public assistance program, we were on the ground. We set up a trailer in Waveland where there was nothing, but we wanted to be there in the community, accessible, to be able to help those families and those communities recover from the disaster. We were located in the Joint Field Office in the Mississippi Coliseum on the coast, working alongside FEMA and MEMA in that recovery effort. So we were there in the middle of the disaster area.
Last thing, I was kind of going through your website last night, and everywhere we look, we see the letters AI and artificial intelligence, and you guys have put a little bit of a spin on that with I&A, intelligence and automation. What role does artificial intelligence, intelligence, and automation play now that maybe it didn't play 20 years ago when it was not as widely used in terms of disaster recovery, accounting, and making this system work the way that it's supposed to?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I think 20 years ago I had my BlackBerry, and as a dedicated BlackBerry user, today we've got,
with the jumbo battery on the back.
No
also,
doubt about it. You got to get that extra. You got to get the extra battery. The
That's right.
little extra hours battery. So I think you look at where technology has come, and the technology that we use is there to detect patterns and try to find that fraud and make sure that we are running things in a more compliant way. And it also helps us kind of design responses and programs in a way that finds efficiencies that really make a lot of difference to the communities. And I think that's another area where we're just really proud to be a partner to these communities and find better ways and always try to keep innovating and getting better and better about how to help with these recoveries.
Scott Keller, Diana Hardin, Timothy Smith, Meg Annison, Neil Forbes off to the side this afternoon or at lunchtime today from Crisis to Recovery, Horne's role post-Katrina at the two Mississippi museums. It is a free event, but imagine it's going to be an interesting roundtable if you're in the metro area and want to check that out. Thanks to all of you for coming in, and thanks for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We will wrap up this edition of Mornings with Richard Cross on the other side of this timeout. It's been a fun show this morning. A lot of information from a lot of different areas. Quick timeout. We're back with you right after this on MRC.
And I won't back down.
From the Venable Glass Trap.
When they ask where you heard it, you tell them.
I know you heard it. Right here.
Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Woke up the next morning, a prisoner of her charm. She showed me things I'd never seen back there on that farm.
Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday morning. Wrapping things up with you, Mornings with Richard Cross. Lance, I feel like we need to take a deep breath. It's been like a 3-hour sprint today.
That was a good one. I enjoyed those two segments. I was always, as I was talking with them, curious how you go from being accountants to the world that they work in now. And it's like I said, you kind of had to build the plane that you fly.
Yeah.
And that's always fun as a company, going from an identity and then seeing opportunity, being able and good enough to capitalize on it, and really creating a new model. I find that to be really, really interesting, and they do great work. Great, smart people, too.
I want to tell you about my friends at Belk Ford and Oxford Toyota. If you are in the market or are going to be in the market for a vehicle, whether it's a previously owned vehicle or one that's brand spanking new that just rolled off the truck, let Belk Ford and Oxford Toyota help you, or at least give them a chance. We've got listeners all over the state of Mississippi and beyond that have become new customers at Belk Ford in the last year or two, and I think most of them would tell you that it has made the car buying experience, which is frankly not something that people love doing. You got some people that love that. They love the negotiation, they love the haggle, they love the whole process. But those people are few and far between. For most people, when you have to go buy a car, you got to do the research and you got to talk to multiple dealers and bid one against the other, and it's just not a lot of fun. Well, they make it about as easy as it possibly can be, and here's the great thing. Belk Ford and Oxford Toyota aren't going anywhere. They've been in the automobile business for over 100 years. It's a family-owned business now in its third generation, and they're just very comfortable in who they are and how they do business. You know that I've, for a long time, been a Belk Ford customer. In the not too distant future, going to be again, as I am soon going to have a first-time driver in our home. And I've already talked to them a little bit about, hey, this is kind of what I'm looking for. This is kind of the price range. And they're trying to help me find what I need for my daughter going forward. Check them out, belkford.net, oxfordtoyota.com. They're located on Highway 6 West in Oxford. How far have we come since the days of Donald Trump making jokes about little Marco? Now in cabinet meetings, little Marco is kind of all grown up, big boy Marco, sitting immediately to the right of President Trump, operating as the Secretary of State and then some. In fact, in yesterday's cabinet meeting, Marco Rubio had jokes with Labor Day approaching.
Mr. President, first of all, everyone's made this comment already and needs to be echoed again. You were elected as the President of Working Americans, and that's why this Labor Day is so meaningful. For me personally, this is the most meaningful Labor Day of my life as someone with 4 jobs. And so...
Oh, Trump's response to that was so delayed. He was kind of leaning forward in his chair, and his head was kind of turned about 45 degrees to the side, listening to Marco Rubio, not knowing that the punchline was coming. And it was a wry smile, and then a recognition that that one was delivered at just the right time. And he says, that's true. He kind of leaned back in his chair with a big, broad smile across his face. The load that Marco Rubio is carrying in this particular administration is as big and heavy a load as anyone has ever had to carry in federal government. And then Marco Rubio had one more line that drew some laughs and drew the who knew he was going to draw the college football crowd into yesterday's 3-hour, 17-minute cabinet meeting. Here's Marco Rubio one more time from yesterday in Washington, D.C.
This thing about people getting married on Saturdays during college football season is a scourge, Mr. President. It's dividing families. I don't know if we can have an executive order on this. It's insane. But it's really difficult. There's 7 other months of the year that people can get married, so I just wanted to say that.
A scourge, Mr. President. This thing about people getting married on Saturdays during college football season is a scourge. I don't know if we can have an executive order on this.
A lot
That's
of
so
brides
good.
a lot of brides to be are going to be upset about that, but a lot of the guys are like, yeah, let's do it.
But you know what? There's some brides to be that they kind of lay the hammer down as well. They're like, well, September, October, November, not going to work. December is iffy. There are a couple of weeks in December where it might work. I was working in college athletics at the time that Jane and I got married, 2006. We got engaged on July 22nd of 2005 and got married a year later. And in the days following our engagement, okay, when do we want to have a wedding? I'm like, hey, the fall doesn't work. Basketball season's not great. Baseball season's not super great. So I was like, could we shoot for the last half of June, July, August, or the second week of December? Would any of those options work?
Hey, at least you knew. Yeah, you knew though.
Yeah, exactly.
You had windows to work with.
Talked about it early on and got that out of the way. That combined with 2 tubes of toothpaste, individual tubes of toothpaste, solves most marital problems. Thanks for being with us. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi. Have an outstanding Wednesday. We'll talk tomorrow morning.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.